So as I was finishing up the double crochet video, um, I thought that maybe I would come right back and show you how to make squares. I know that working the double crochets and practicing, you do get a square, or can get a square or a rectangle as you're working your rows back and forth. But another way is to work a square around from the base of a circle. So this is a square that I did. I'm working on a blanket for my daughter, and it's a composition of squares from a quilt inspired pattern. Let's go ahead and come back and I'll show you how to make this kind of square. Okay, so to get started, you're going to do what we do, make a slip knot and chain. Slip knot. I'm gonna go slow. And I am gonna be working very small stitches because that is how I crochet, and this is actually going to go into my baby's blanket. And I say baby, but she's a big old 10-year-old fifth grader, and I love her dearly. So we're going to insert the hook. Remember, we're making a slip stitch here. You yarn over, you pull through the stitch, and you pull through your original loop, okay? So now you have a tiny little circle on your hook. You can't really see the middle, but I'm going to show you. From here we chain 3 because we're working in double crochet. Okay. Now you're going to yarn over. You're going to insert your hook into the middle of the circle. I'm trying to show you my camera there. You see? It's a hole right there. Not into the chain where you slip stitch, but there is a little hole in the middle. So we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, and that's 1 double crochet. Yarn over, back into the center of the circle, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2. Now from here, and also with this pattern, the beginning chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So we're going to be working in a pattern of 3 double crochet, chain 1, 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 and slip into the top of the starting double crochet. And all of this is going to be worked into that circle, which now you can see a little more clearly now that we've put some double crochets in here. So I'm going to chain 1, yarn over, and as you work through the center, I catch the tail yarn and work around it. So yarn over, back into the circle. How many was that? That was 2, okay. 3. Chain 1, yarn over, back into the circle again. This is our 3rd set. We want to end up with 12 double crochets. 2, 3, chain 1, and do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 'What we're going to do now is we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. And if you remember just from my double crochet video, it can be a little hard to get in there. You kind of gotta wiggle your needle. Sometimes your hook, and sometimes I'll go in individually just to kind of create the space. See, there's the second loop. So let's slip stitch in here. Got it. Now we're going to slip stitch. And yes, it looks like a circle, but I promise you it's a square. And you'll see it start to shape as we work on the next row. So we're going to chain 3, okay? And we're going to remember this counts as a double crochet. So we're gonna work into not where we slipped, but into the next one. So we're gonna do double crochets across. Sorry, my yarn was stuck. Now, 2 things here. We've worked into 2 double crochets. We have 3 double crochets showing that we've worked into the previous 3. We're at the corner. To make the corners, we're going to 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet, okay? So we're going to double crochet into the hole in the corner. So that's 1, 2, chain 1, 1, 2. Now, in order to do your next 3 double crochets, you're gonna have to slide these double crochets back a little bit so that you can see the top of this double crochet where you have to work your double crochet. If you skip this stitch, you will get a work that is leaning. It's gonna be crooked. Your stitch count will be off. And this stitch is very hard to catch, especially if you're a beginner. We're going to yarn over, and again, slide those stitches back a little bit so you can get under that V right there, see? We're in 1, 2, 3, and we're back to our next corner. So we're going to go 1 into that hole in the corner, remember, 2, chain 1, 1, 2, yarn over. We got to catch this first double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3. Back to this next corner. It's 2, chain 1, and here's our last corner right here. Now with this one, we do not have another double crochet to work into. We're simply going to slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 3. This is 1, 2, 3. There, the first chain is at the bottom there. 1, 2, 3. And you want to be careful not to slip stitch into the top of the double crochet here, but into this top chain. Okay. So I'm gonna show you one more round. I think I have time to show you one more round here. All right, so we're gonna chain 1, 2, 3. We're in double crochet to the corner. So you're gonna work in every double crochet across till you get to your corners, and then in your corners you're going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. Okay, and one more stitch before the corner. So I'll show you again. We're in the hole in the corner. That was 1. That's 2. We're going to chain 1, go into that hole in the corner. 2. See that there? And again, move that a little bit with your finger so you can get into the top of that double crochet. I'm back up from the camera some. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have to work so close to the camera. We hit the corner. I think we're back to the corner. And so I'll tell you the truth. If you forget to chain 1 in a corner, I mean, try not to. But sometimes instead of ripping the work out, I will just shove my yarn in between 2 stitches and create a space. I don't recommend it, especially if you're at the beginning here and you don't have that many stitches to rip back. But I'm telling you, sometimes these squares can get big, and having to rip back your work is one of the most, it's kind of a defeated feeling, and depending on what you're making and who you're making it for, you know, it's totally up to you. We joke sometimes in the yarn community that, you know, that is a maker's interpretation, or sort of putting your own flair on the original design. So those things will come, but I'm gonna tell you, mistakes will happen. I was knitting a shawl the other day for myself, but my stitch count was off. Back at the corner, and 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. So my stitch count was off, and I counted the whole thing. And I'm working on a shawl, and when you're doing a shawl and lace work and knitting, we're talking upwards of 200 stitches. I had to frog back an entire row because the error I made was literally at maybe the 10th stitch in that row. Heartbreaking, time consuming, and by the time you're done doing that, we got one more double crochet before we slip stitch on this row. By the time you do that, you know, you kind of put your work down and go take a break. So again, we're slip stitching into the top chain. Okay, once you work back around, and you can pull through. I'm going to chain 1 to leave this here. Put the pattern for this quilt in the video description. Again, I got it off of Ravelry, but I will link it back to the original designer so that you can go straight there and kind of read her work. I do caution, I believe that the designer used UK or United Kingdom British crochet terminology, which is slightly different from US terminology, but they do a great job of explaining it. And always, if you have any questions, once you grab the pattern, feel free to leave a comment or send me a message, and I will be more than happy to help you out. Also, check me out on Instagram at The Crochet Cove, and I will see you next time.